Hi guys, it's Hugh from Love Food here. In this recipe video, I want to show you how I make a Francesinha, or a little Frenchie. I grew up in Portugal as a kid and I used to eat these all the time with my friends. It's like a croque madame on steroids. You've got your ham and cheese, and then you have steak, sausages, chorizos, salamis, some of them have prawns on them. It's baked in the oven with loads of cheese over it, a fried egg on top, and then you pour this amazing spicy tomato and beer-based sauce over it, with French fries to dunk in. So if that sounds good to you, I'll show you how to make it.
Right, well let's start off with the meats. I've got a good quality aged ribeye steak, some cured ham and Spanish cooking chorizo. Generously season your steak on both sides with salt and pepper. So I'm using Spanish cooking chorizo here. In Portugal they use linguiça. This is the closest alternative I can find, and I like how it renders down into the sauce. I grew up by the coast, so of course I had to include seafood in my dish. I've opted for some cooked prawns with the shell on. Make sure you keep the heads and the shells for later, they'll go really well in the sauce. Start to render down that chorizo and make sure you get a nice good colour on it. That also helps to add flavour to the sauce. Once you're happy with how they're cooked, remove them from the pan and set them aside. Into the same hot pan, add a knob of butter. Make sure that the milk solids have stopped sizzling before you add your steak. You want to make sure you sear it nicely and get a good caramelisation on both sides. Don't overcook it because it's going back in the oven for later. Once your steak is seared, remove it from the pan and set it aside for later. No Portuguese dish is ever complete without some pork. They love using it in a lot of dishes. So I add some pancetta to that same hot pan and render that down. It adds a real richness to the sauce. When you've rendered it down, add those shells you've saved back into the pan. This adds that seafood flavour into the sauce. Now I add some shallots. These ones I've actually had frozen in the freezer. This makes my life a bit easier. Crush some garlic and then saute them off until they're nice and soft. On to the next bit. I want to pour in about a cup and a half of good quality seafood stock, and then some peri-peri seasoning, some chilies, and no dish is complete without some bay leaves. Tomato passata goes in, and then the secret ingredient is a good quality lager. You want to simmer the sauce down to about half. You want those flavours to intensify. Now, the Francesinha sauce is what sets it apart from anything else, so it's worth taking your time over it and making sure that it's the best it can possibly be. Now onto the bread. I'm using a plain white loaf that I'm cutting myself. I want 2 thicker slices at the top and bottom, and a slightly thinner slice in the middle. I don't want the sandwich to be too stodgy. Traditionally, you'd use French fries with this dish, but I've opted for some chunkier oven-cooked chips. You want to season them with some oil and some peri-peri, and bake them at the required temperature. Now, we griddle the bread, so I want to get a nice crisscross pattern on my bread. I toast it because I don't like the sandwich to go too soggy. A little fact about Portuguese cuisine. If you go to a restaurant, make sure you never ask for salt at the table. It's seen as really bad manners, and most of the food is overly salty anyway. Now onto the fun part, we start to assemble it. On an oven tray, you lay the bread, ham, the cooked chorizo, and I'm using some Emmental cheese here, just because I like the look of it. The thinner slice of bread, ham, and then that cooked seared steak. On top of that, more cheese, of course, and the thicker layer of bread. Now I put on those peeled prawns from earlier, and make sure that you overlap the cheese over the edge of the sandwiches. That way when you bake it, it melts over the side. Once the cheese is thoroughly melted all over, I like to top the Francesinha off with a fried egg on top. Runny in the centre, of course. Then we can start to pour over that amazing, delicious, meaty seafood sauce all over the entire sandwich. Don't hold back. Load up the edge of the plate with those peri-peri fries and pour on some more of that sauce. I love the way it shines in the light. It's such a rich, delicious sauce. Anyone can make it. I think the Francesinha is a sandwich to end all other sandwiches. Nothing else compares to it. If you like my version of the little Frenchie, or Francesinha as it's called, then let me know in the comments.